Hi, this is Greg Koopman, SSIS 2016. In this session, I'm going to discuss simple packages and simple functionality, use of sequence containers for annotations and documentation, object names and numbering standards, progress tab and its relationship to object numbering. So, first of all, what I want to point out here on the package, this is a single package. You can have a package that does 25 to 100 things, maybe not that many, but a lot of things. But then if it breaks in the middle, you got problems because it's hard to troubleshoot that. It's harder to troubleshoot if it breaks in the middle. We're going the opposite direction. Instead of putting a bunch of them all over the place, we're going to be very granular and make a lot of packages, possibly one for each table at the beginning. And then later we might go ahead and encapsulate a parent package on top of it to call them. But for development purposes, if we develop a granular style, Ron can work on one table and do a package. I can do a package. We work independently without stepping on each other's toes. Okay. Now, doing this kind of stuff for the last, I don't know, 15 years at least. This is what I've found to be the most readable way and the best standards, I feel, to mix documentation and intuitiveness with the package itself. I went with an idea that I see in a lot of websites where you can always zoom on these things. So I'm going to zoom into this package. This is a whole package right there, okay? These 5 elements there, 5 containers they call them. And what you'll notice is that I don't have anything over to the right side. I make them just about big enough so that I can view it vertically, kind of like a web page where you don't have to go to the right side. You can just go down. And most of the stuff you're doing, you don't have to have all these crazy wrappers all over the place and pointers everywhere. You can do it pretty simply here. And the way I look at it, if it's our super big package and I'm going to do a vertical, I don't mind it going way down low, way down to the, very far down vertically. I'd rather be able to and not have to run all over the package. So, and most of the packages are pretty much a straight down methodology and sequence. You can go ahead and wrap these. Each of these are containers here, and so that's what I did here. Was I made it it's all vertical, okay, and that way, whenever someone comes in, they can read it better. Second thing I did here was I used sequence containers. Now, over on the side, you have your toolbox of all your SSIS objects. Okay. Now notice one's called favorites up here. That's not my favorites. They put that in automatically from SSIS because basically the data flow task and the execute SQL task are probably the most used tasks by most people, and including myself, which you'll see almost everything is these kind of tasks, which we'll get down to later. But what you'll also see here is you can create a container. A container usually doesn't do hardly anything except for just gives you a box to put stuff in. Okay, but you can label it, and then later on when you look at progress reports and all that stuff, it will show you the name of the container as well as the task within it. Okay, so these are containers. So I put everything in a container, and there's a couple reasons why I do that. One is just for that it kind of divides up the pieces of the different sections, like a book, kind of like different chapters. A lot less, maybe like a chapter in different sections. But what it does here is that I can put in my documentation right in the container. And no matter where I move this container, the documentation stays with it. Now, what a lot of people, and what I am guilty of, is I used to put all this stuff outside. I didn't have containers. I just have, the container would be here. You just see the object and no container. And then I put the annotation in there, just like this. So if I go to annotation, which is the way they call comments, I could go freestyle, right? And then it would be over here, right? And then when something happened, I had to move this object somewhere, the documentation would stay over there, right? The documentation would be here, and I move my object here, so then we lost any connection between. Documentation's hard enough, but it's a lot harder when everything's moving around. So that's why I put everything in a container to make it a cleaner look, and so that we don't have to, if the documentation is right in there with the object, it's going to be a lot more hard to keep documentation up to date, but it will keep things a lot more portable for the documentation. If you do have the documentation up to date, you can just sit there and read the documentation and ask and see what that object is doing. Another nice feature on here, which I'm tangenting off, but Control Z, believe me, this was not in SSIS until just recent, one of the latest versions. That you didn't have a undo button. You do have an undo button now. Embarrassing that it took so long. So if we look at my documentation here, each one of these, I put down the functionality of what this is doing. And then I also put in error handling and what you can expect if an error happens. Because some places the error can happen, but I don't error out the package. In other places, when an error happens, I error out the package. Okay, so in each section I try to demonstrate what the error handling is doing, as well as what the functionality is. Okay, another thing you'll see on this package is the way I number these. Numbering scheme, I don't know if you guys did basic, but they used to do 0010. It's good because you can put stuff in between. I like it, but the main reason I do this is because if I don't do this and I run a package, let me see what package this is. Well, we'll just run this package real quick, right? So if I do the numbering scheme, because when you run the package in development, what you'll see, what number, I'm at 105? Is that 105? Yeah. And by the way, when you run a package, do not run it from the start menu, because this goes and tries to, there's a way to set these to be the start part of the project, and it will run that package, not the package that's set to start and not the one you are sitting on. Okay, so you're just better off just coming here if you're doing the unit testing or something like that. So I'm going to go there, I'm going to go and execute the package. What you're going to see is that the package you'll see green if it's going well. But notice that the container turns green. My first container, if it's a fairly decent sized package, I'll put a lot of comments up at the very top in its own container. Now notice you see the green little checkbox, that means it succeeded. And as I go down, we can see how it did, and it succeeded. Notice that my numbering, again, from container to container is 05. It's in numerical order. Within the container, I name it 007, just like the container. I then 010, just like your old basic style type thing. Here we go, 010. This is, did I do this? Check that. But the main thing is it's in order. And these two don't have to be in order. Since there's no connection there, they're running parallel. So as you see, the whole package completed. If you look down here, it means that the package completed successfully. Okay, the little green box. All right, but what I'm trying to point out here is when I go to progress, if I want to see what really happened in the package during its execution, these are all the execution steps here, as you see, right? Now, it seems to do this in alphabetical order by object. Okay, so that's another reason why I put the numbering in. If I come in here and I do the numbering, these are all in order. You see how that's all in order? Not a big deal, but it is a big deal. Because when you want to look to find, see what's happening in here, when you're troubleshooting something or, looking for something, it sure is nice to see them in the order that they're processed, okay? So, which is the numeric. Actually, they show in numerical order, so as long as your sequence is in numerical order, they'll show in the order you're doing. That's why I do the numbering. This concludes this video. Thank you for watching.